and welcome everyone. It's a Traveling Saleslady podcast. So what do we do when we think about medical healthcare industry and we combine it with sales? We know that there's a lot of opportunity. Obviously, there's a lot of products, a lot of services, and platforms now in this AI world. But you know what? What does it really mean for an actual sales professional? So Traveling Saleslady, how are you? And
hello, Syya. I love that question. It's a good one. I know medical device sales, as you mentioned, healthcare sales, very interesting profession for salespeople. So I think today our audience, our viewers, are in for a treat with, can I introduce our guest, Syya? Are we ready?
Please do.
All right. Welcome, Casey McGinn with SI Bone. That is an interesting name of a company.
It does not roll off the tongue.
No? And maybe, Casey, if you could share with our viewers a little bit about your background in sales, the company, and maybe what you do day to day as a sales professional working for SI Bone.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me, everybody. So my start in medical device sales, I first started in sales selling accounting services because I got an accounting degree in college at the University of Miami. Then I thought I needed a job, and they said accountants have jobs. And so I worked for a Big Four accounting firm, and it nearly crushed me. And then people suggested I try sales. And so nobody in medical device would have somebody from accounting. So I got into accounting sales. I was selling for a consulting firm to sell accounting services. And before everybody falls asleep, fast forward, I had a buddy who worked in medical device, and they had some bad interviews, suggested I give one. And I started working for Smith & Nephew in the sports medicine division. And so from there, I went to a company called Misonics, which I believe now is Bioventus. But that got me started in spine. So I was in sports medicine, and then I was in spine, and I'm still in spine. But it's like spine and ortho, so orthopedics, because I deal with mostly the SI joint, hence the name SI bone. It's marketed towards surgeons. It's not marketed towards people, the general public, like a Medtronic or names that sound like medical companies. That's why the name is what it is, and it does work. But so now I'm dealing with most of the SI joint, which is the very, very bottom part of your spine. But the bottom part of your spine is always part of the construct if you're doing procedures for the rest of the spine. Anyways, so that's how I got there. And I love my job now. I absolutely love it. So
what do you cover for an area?
Now my area is pretty small. I had some pretty good years, and what happens is they kind of cut your territory at that point. So it's the greater Central Florida area. So from Lakeland to Daytona, Gainesville, and south to not quite Sebring, but if you know Florida, I-4, essentially.
That's a really pretty small territory small. From a sales perspective, right? So
it is but my mileage begs to differ. And so, but when I was a Smith & Nephew, but even now, the way that the medical industry works is that the doctors, you can't control a doctor. You can only hope to kind of contain them. And so, but the expertise that the salespeople have are extremely valuable. One case opposed to 0 cases is a world of a difference, especially if you're launching a product. So I was one of the very first in the world to use one of our products that we recently launched. And then I had to travel all over the place. My boss travels all over the place. But typically in medical sales, if you're not traveling by plane everywhere you go to close a meeting, it has to do with the surgeries, and you're traveling You have to be really logistic about it and call and help when you need it. And often, if you are the first person to use something or somebody that has more experience with the product, nobody is going to take any risks if you get a doctor to try something for the first time. Because if he likes it, he'll keep using it. If he has an okay time, he just won't. There's really not many second chances. So
Very interesting. And I've got to pull this whole conversation back to something that you said earlier that I think is key. Your buddy introduced you. What did that feel like? Because part of the traveling sales lady brand is all about the good stuff in sale, the relationship side of sales, which is just key. And I'm just curious if you can think back to that
I
time.
remember it vividly.
Share it. Share that with us. I
I
think people
love
want
the
to know.
medical industry. I love what I do now. I've always loved them, especially compared to what I've done in the past. So I was in accounting sales. Still hard to convince somebody that you can sell medically and clinically. And they just had some bad interviews. My buddy's like, you seem like our type of people. Do you think you'd be interested? And he didn't know that I had been dying to get in, but I didn't know how, and I had a job. So I wasn't one of those people that was like, I just want to get into med device. And that happens a lot. And it's the right thing to do, I think. But you can't just say, I really want to be in this industry because it's growing. That's not compelling to anybody. But I just sounded really cool to me what he did, because there's two parts to it. There's a sales part, which I love, any type of sales. And then there's this clinical part where you can be better than your competitor by just learning more. And there's a million resources. So when he gave me that opportunity, he said, would you think you'd mind interviewing? And I don't know if he needed a spot to fill in the interview, but I knew I wasn't going to waste it. And it was like I put all my eggs in that basket. I took a huge pay cut and came in as an associate, and it paid off tremendously. And we're still friends. I mean, it's actually one of my wife's uh, best friend's husband, and I'd known him for years. But he didn't think of me like that, and when he did, I jumped at it. I hope that answers it a little bit.
It does. It definitely does. And I think it's key too for people listening that sometimes it does make sense with a career path that sometimes you've got to take a step backward to take a big leap forward in time. So it's very important to think of those things. Syya, I know your background, a lot of it is in tech sales. Tech sales and medical device have got to have similarities. Do you think tech sales is something people can look at an ad online on Indeed and jump into? Or just like Casey, do you think there's got to be some level of referral relationship?
So I think that's a really great question, traveling sales lady. So I think curiosity. To be a successful sales professional, period, I think curiosity has to be has to be a key component. Whether you're curious about your client from a personal interaction perspective, curious about their business need or what problem you're helping them to solve, if you're helping them to be more efficient. Medical sales devices, I think, is technology. Now, is it tech in the context of the way I was in that industry? No, but I think of it as innovation. And so there's a lot of, I think, opportunity for excitement that if you have that fire in the belly, people that are transitioning in careers, yeah, you might have to take a step back to learn the basics. But if you've got the right, ingredients, I think anyone can go into any industry. If you know how to sell, you can stay curious and you're eager to learn. I mean, what do you think about that, Casey? Am I off course on that?
Not at all. Not at all. I think that the kind of, if it was a Venn diagram and you have like medical and you have like the tech industry, I think the middle of it is the part of the salesperson where you're trying to learn. If you can learn what C++ is, I don't know if that's even relevant anymore, but like,
No.
like if they need, yeah, okay. So when I was working for the accounting consulting firm, like we had a group that was doing tech sales too, and I heard them trying to find those consultants and things like that. And um, then it was like Salesforce people we needed. And so if you're willing to learn so you can talk to your customer and you like that type of learning, it's perfect. Same as me. If I can learn more, then I have a better chance of selling to this doctor. You know, I may not be able to take him golfing at his favorite place or even know how to frame that, but if I can, in a 5-minute meeting, explain to him I know what I'm talking about, it works.
Okay, I have a question because I was supporting a hospital system, and I got to tell you, the biggest challenge, and I was supporting the IT department infrastructure to help get the doctors and nurses on board with some of the latest innovations to help make their jobs easier. So it wasn't medical devices, but it was definitely, we knew who our audience was, which is very simple, same
Certainly.
audience, more or less, right? How do you overcome that objection of whatever device you're introducing? Like you said earlier, if it's hard for them to learn it or they don't get it from the jump, how do you overcome it? Because, okay, medical professionals, I'm just going to call you out. A
You're
lot of them
right.
do not like to change. So how do you overcome that?
That's so what the first thing I learned is that the hardest thing to do is to change a doctor's mind, to change the way he does things. Because and that's also one of the best things it taught me about doctors, even to help my family. But the way that the best way to do that is to realize it's very difficult to change their mind. So what could possibly, and it's usually, luckily, data. That's simple. If you're with a company that has enough data, clinical data that's compelling, that can get your foot in the door. The second thing is if it seems cool, they may be nerds, some of them, or they may be excited about the industry itself. They if your product is cool, it has good results, that's half the battle. The other part is just sales 101. Do what you say you're going to do. Because you can sound really, really good, but and promise something at the end of the meeting. But if you say I'll follow up tomorrow and you don't, even with I need to follow up tomorrow, then they at least know where they stand with you. It's never failed me. Um, and I guess the only other thing is just also another basic sales thing where you get past your ego and you just ask that question one more time. I'm here again. It's me. Can we have you try again? You know, so, but really in medical device, I was pleasantly surprised to find out that data leads,
Mm.
you know. Also, doctors are exactly as difficult to win favor of as you'd think, but another doctor can do your bidding for you too. So that's another one. If you have faculty on your company that is a doctor, is maybe somebody they trained under, or they trained under the same people, then it it's wildly easier. Like you'd be stupid to not give it a shot. Oh, you went to here for residency? Do you know this guy?
Oh,
Then
yeah.
do then you not even have to sell that other guy. You just say, please, please talk to him. You don't want to talk to your friend? Yeah, he does. And then it's not like you have to feel like you're selling a doctor. You're just asking him to have a conversation with your doctor. If that
Oh, the
makes
power of
Right.
networking is huge, isn't it? I mean, traveling sales lady, I know you've got an incredible network.
So I think it's super huge. It's everything. It's the learning that Casey mentioned aspect. It's the referral. It's the relationship, and it's asking questions too, because you could be connected to someone that you want to ask. Not always just about referrals, but hey, help me learn. You may have one tidbit of information that makes them feel good as a teacher, and makes you feel
certainly
good as the receiver. So
that I've
back and
used that
forth.
too many times. I am a curious person, and I'm a very sincere person. if you see something and you don't ask, like, so why did you do that? And it can be less sincere than others sometimes, but it doesn't mean it's not sincere, I guess. But
Okay.
they want to teach you.
Yeah. Hey, traveling sales lady, I just had a thought.
Oh, is it time, Syya? Is it time for our Click to Commerce segment?
I think so.
Falling asleep with your neck in the wrong position can be a real pain in the neck. Literally. People of all ages are falling for Tossie. Tossie gives you the comfort you've always dreamed of. Go to TossieBrands.com and get your comfort on.
Okay, I have to ask. Have you ever thrown a golf game just because you knew if you beat your prospect or your client there, they'd get upset with you?
No. It is against my nature. However, in the second, in the last like 4 holes, if there's an opportunity for the doctor to have a win, he might just get it. Maybe I'm ahead enough where I get lazy, but typically, it's interesting. You can tell by the type of personality whether they are okay with being beaten or not, and I might just lose that doctor that day. I don't know. But I'm not very good, so I don't have to worry about that.
Well, I got to jump in with a quick story here related to golf and related to orthopedic surgeons. So many years ago, I'll make it real quick. Many years ago, because Casey, your wife, Katie McGinn, and I, in a former life, used to work together for an imaging company, and we worked with orthopedic surgeons that had a golf tournament. And we had a tent, and they came out, and I always wanted to drive a golf cart, yet I hadn't.
Oh my
And
gosh,
in my
I think
mind, I always wanted to drive one. And this was my opportunity. So one of my teammates said, "Hey, can you take me over to a restroom?" We were on one of the holes on one of the green. And let me drive. Let me jump in. And I got in that golf cart, not realizing that reverse didn't have a brake. You just let your foot off the pedal. But I couldn't process that. No one had taught me. I just thought, I always wanted to drive. I'll jump in. And this kind of relates to sales is do your homework, lady. Know what you're getting into. I didn't. And we put the thing in reverse. And the golf cart is just going back.
And
it felt like
that
a mile
terrible
a minute.
noise it makes.
It's terrible noise. And it's going back. And the person in the cart is saying, stop. But my mind's not processing. And we hit 4 doctors in another golf cart. No one got hurt. It was humiliating, but it stirred conversation.
Look, Deanna, back to your point about
friends.
Networking and how to meet people and kind of break the ice, or like hope you don't break their legs or their golf cart.
That's right.
There is a way to make an entrance, and sometimes that works. Maybe.
Make it memorable, people.
Yeah.
Make it memorable.
Absolutely.
I don't think I want to tell my golf story, but I'll just go ahead. I'll say it very quickly. So we were in Vegas for a sales conference. I used to work for a particular tech company, and a lot of our clients would fly out for it as well. And my boss had booked links for us one morning. Well, we also all hung out together that previous evening that eked its way into the morning, and he booked this golf outing at like 8:00 in the morning, and we had been stumbling in around 5. So I thought he was joking when he said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to book at 8 a.m. and you guys better show up." He was deadpan serious. I get a phone call at 7:30 going, "Where are you?" And I'm going, I freaking just went to sleep. And he's like, "Get downstairs. We're golfing." And I'm like, "Oh, hell no." And, yeah. So, let's just
Doctors
say
have that other level too. You'd think they don't get to do that stuff that often, but when they do, you'd be surprised. They go nuts. Like, I'm golfing, I'm going to Disney, and I'm going to stay up till 5:00 in the morning at the same time.
And they do it. I don't know how they, and these, I'm just saying, these people were older than me, okay? And I was dying. At one point, you guys, they're on the green, And I just said, I'll be right back. So I went to the car. I just laid there. And I just said, okay, when you guys are ready, I'll drive you to the next hole. I couldn't play. I was useless. So there you go. That's my golf story.
Well, the good news about golfing with people is that you only have to be like, it's very hard to be very good. So I'm really harmless to everybody, and I might beat them, but they golf people only want to golf and they want to play golf all the time. A lot of them are doctors, but like it doesn't mean that they're good. And so if you're like you don't get to play very much and you can just have a nice round, then it actually works to your favor. And you're never going to get that amount of time alone with the doctor, that's for sure.
That's right.
Very true. That's very
true. True. How about conferences, Casey? Do you go to a lot of conferences with your role or an annual sales meeting? I'm trying to dig into, I know you love sales. What's the fun stuff for you? What puts that big, beautiful smile on your face that says, I love it?
Well, often it's any shape or form of a win. I played sports my whole life. I'm not saying that this doesn't make my whole identity, but if I was thinking about it, like it's hard for me to say the money's great, but I know if I win enough, the money will come. And winning feels so good because you're trying really hard, and you can try really hard and not win, just like anything. So I'm just seeking wins. It can be as small as a yes. It can be as small as a yes to a meeting. It can be a great case. It could be rescuing a case. And so I have a lot of opportunities to win, but in terms of like traveling and stuff like that, the conferences are a great place to stack up a lot of little wins. You know, what's better? Like you're feeding off of tiny ego boosts in this, and you don't get a lot of time with doctors because if you call their office and nobody wants to deal with you, but they said, I might be interested at a conference and you saw them, then you say, he said he wanted to see me. And so those conferences are great for just having a bunch of people concentrated in a small area, and you're just trying to stack up little wins. And then that's your call list, you know? And then, for like national sales meetings and stuff, I want to win. You know, I don't need to be, I'd love to be first every time, but that's unrealistic. So I don't get mad if I'm not. It certainly drives me, but you definitely don't want to be last. And I just love winning.
Catch what you're pitching on that. The sales profession is one big competition because you're competing against obviously your competitors, right? All the rival products that do the exact same thing that can serve, the same solution up for your one client that you're all fighting for. It's interesting, you guys. So Traveling Saleslady and Casey, either one, do you think you have to have a competitive spirit to be successful in sales?
I'll jump on that. I do think you need a competitive spirit, but I think competitors does not necessarily mean you need to have a top 100 list and it's who are you competing with? Lots of times in sales, you can compete with yourself for a better day tomorrow, an additional win, going from a no to a yes. And it doesn't always have to be a direct sale. You need those things, but I'll give you a perfect example. Let's say someone who is new to sales and maybe always wanted to be a public speaker, but they weren't there yet. But then they practiced and then they had their big opening, and maybe it was okay to the audience, but they got in their car at the end of that conference and they turned their radio up and they felt on top of the world because they did it and they came out of their comfort zone. Those types of things are wins, and they've competed against themselves to get to another level. So that's my take on it, that there's all types of...
I totally agree with you. And it harkens all of these when I'm trying to figure out why somebody beat me, I'm trying to say, what? I thought I was more charming than them. I thought I knew more than them. But so I'm analyzing what they've done, and it's the exact same. That person just is making the right decisions and doing what they said they were going to do. So discipline is everything. And it's something I think many people struggle with. I certainly did, because it's easy to be able to talk to somebody or to memorize studies, but the people that I see do the best have both sides. They're extremely disciplined, and they get the sales part. And so there's a lot of like, this one girl that I work with comes to mind. It's like she's very soft spoken, and it could even sound unsure, but she will not be denied at every step, you know? And she has spreadsheets upon spreadsheets, and her day is booked out on her own calendar, just blocked. And I learn a lot from like that, but there's the win is whatever you classify as a win, but she's winning, you know,
It sounds like preparation is key too. I mean,
100%.
I think us sales folks, we can talk, and I think there's look, being able to speak and communicate with the people you're working with is critical, because it's a relationship driven position. However, you can BS for only so long, right? So preparation, I think, is going to be critical in order to be successful. So
absolutely.
Okay, so we were talking about all this great stuff. Okay, so we're going to be wrapping up time here, because Traveling Saleslady, I know about you, us salespeople, we can all talk all day. So
I know, I feel like rambling.
Don't. When are us sales kids ever sorry? Come on now.
I walk around with a bag of sorries all day long. Mostly at home.
Exactly. Okay, so all the great fun things. Can you tell us a funny story of any of your travels, whether it was on a long windshield road trip, or if it was on a train somewhere, or of course flying on that airplane? Do you have any funny stories you'd like to share, and maybe a lesson learned?
Of traveling at all, or just traveling for sales?
I mean, if you've got a story, a travel story is a travel story in my book. So I don't know, Traveling Saleslady, what do you think?
Oh, I think just travel related in general, because there's always, you could tie anything right back to sales. You just can't. We're all salespeople.
So I'll do a little bit of both. So I had a conference somewhere, got separated from my group. It was a costume party at the national sales meeting of some sort, and I was dressed like Marty McFly from Back to the Future, and it was a terrific costume. But I got separated from my group, and I think we were in Nashville, and I got lost. Like, not like lost, but I was like, where the hell is everybody? And then I ran to a buddy from high school, and he's like, hey, what the hell are you doing here? I was like, what the hell are you doing here? And I was like, actually, I need to get back to this place, and I don't know where it is. Like, it's not like on Broadway or something that was normal. Like, he like led me back, and I was like, oh, thank you, baby Jesus. He was watching over me. And then other travel stories. I drove to Illinois with my family in a minivan like every year until I was like 17. And sometimes it wasn't a minivan. And I have two other brothers. It was the worst ever. I guess that's not funny, but it is a terrible experience to be trapped in the car with your two brothers, and sometimes in like a bench seat in the back, and you're like, we're going to die here. This is how we die.
All right. Did you do the don't touch me? You're in my space. You put your hand over, don't touch me. Because I had two sisters growing up, and we did, you're in my space, don't touch. You're pointing. Did you do that as kids?
That never worked, because at that point a punch had been thrown. And so the don't touch me, it wasn't like it was, you'd already been punched, and you're like, wah. And then your parents are like, I mean, they can't say, I'll turn this car around. Like, yeah, you drive 17 hours back the other way. But it was, now that I think of it, I don't know if that's funny at all, but it was terrible.
A travel story is a travel story.
But my brothers are my best friends. Like, like truly, we're thick as thieves, and it without us hating each other for a long time, I don't think that would be possible. So
there you go.
Awesome.
Okay, here's what I gleaned from both of those stories. Ready? Is it gleaned or gleamed? Okay, gleaned
With a
is
G.
number one. Always ask for help when you're lost, and apparently run into
Even
your
in
buddy from high
sales.
school. Exactly. And number two, there's nothing like really bonding with people when you don't like each other, especially when you are stuck in a confined space, but always look on the bright side of life, which is after you get your destination, there's always going to be some space at the end. And when I say space, it could be theoretically in years. So many years down the road, now you guys all love each
can
other
be your
again.
Cracker Barrel.
That's a nice way to put it, Syya. That's an awesome way to pan that out.
So on that note, okay, so guys, we can be talking all day long. Traveling Saleslady, do you have any parting thoughts as we wrap this up?
Well, I'd like to say thank you, Casey, for being our guest. It's so great to see you. And thank you for the insights on the medical device sales. Super important. Syya, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. And thank you for putting this together. You are brilliant.
Well,
This
thank
was a
you.
lot
It's
of
pleasure.
fun. Thank
Awesome.
you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
And that about wraps it up for another episode of the Traveling Saleslady podcast. Casey, thank you so much. As always, the illustrious leader, the Traveling Saleslady yourself. Guys, we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.